Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. It is the 22nd. Is it the 22nd of May today, or is it the 23rd? 23rd of May today. It's 11 a.m. Central European time. We are back. We had the day off yesterday, made some videos, and we have a little bit of an update to go through with you before we start the show. The Wednesday stream didn't happen. Simply put, there was a power cut scheduled at 7 p.m, which just so happens to be the time we were going live on Wednesday. Nobody told us. We didn't know. Saturday, midday. That's when we're going to do the Chronos night that was scheduled for last Wednesday. So midday on Saturday. I'll bring up the stream so you can see it in a short while. Secondly, before we get into the show, we were approached by two separate projects to become ambassadors or represent them, whatever you want to call it. We have turned one down, and we are in the final stages of moving forward with one of them. And that's really exciting for me and for the Oracle and for Crypto Warehouse in general, because it's yet another project we think has massive legs and something that we would actually want to talk about. So that's the second bit of news that we've got for you today. You'll also notice you can see a little bit more of me, okay? There used to be a time when a couple of Indian viewers on Binance would tell me that I looked like I was drowning because my head was all the way down the bottom of the screen. We've got a new camera angle today. We've got a new desk, got a slightly new setup. So it's the same show. I'm just in a different position. And what are we going to talk about today? We've got a couple of things which are important to talk about, and then a couple of things which we're going to talk about which are not so important. We're going to talk about why nobody feels excited. Nobody's excited. Nobody on crypto Twitter. Bullish Bull has just said it in chat, and it's the first title of my show. So we're going to talk about the Bitcoin price and why you're not feeling too good. We're then going to talk about Cetus. Sui, or should I say a DEX on Sui, had a problem yesterday. I think $250 million was compromised. They've got about 160 million back. We're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about this conversation about decentralization. I think there's a bit of a misconception about what decentralization is. And we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to talk about in-kind redemptions of ETFs and why that is important to the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then Solana, and then, of course, XRP. We're going to talk about Jupiter, not the vote that was just passed, although we mentioned that, something that Jupiter are about to launch. We're going to talk about World Liberty Financials and their stablecoin, and then we're going to finish with XDC. That's the show. We've got some X-Files, of course, to cover, but there are people in the conversation who I haven't mentioned yet. Of course, we will not go and start the show without saying hello to the likes of Velvet Rope. Bullish Bull is in chat, KB is here, and Manjeet is here. If you are here and you are watching, say hello in chat. There are 50 of you. I believe, by the way, and I tried to check the records, on Wednesday, we had 165 people watch us live. Now, I don't know why. I don't know where they came from. I don't know how it happened. But that's about 3 times what we normally get. Now, what's really odd, the day before, we had 12 people watching us. Again, 12 is a fifth of what we normally get. 165 is 3 times what we normally get. And we don't really change the title of the show. We don't really do an awful lot. So how that came about, I do not know. Good morning to you, Manjeet. It's nice to see you here. Right then, let's get on with the show. Let me bring up the charts and let's get into it, because there's a lot to cover. We try and do a lot in these shows, and I was thinking about this the other night as I'm bringing up the screen here. I was thinking about the other night. I was thinking some people might think that the articles that we bring up are just the first 5 or 6 articles that we actually put into the show. But here is a little bit of an insight on how we do this show. I go through probably 50 articles a night before the show. Now, I don't read them all, clearly, because that would be a waste of time. But what I do is I find the articles I think are going to give you the most information about stuff that you might not necessarily know about. So Bullish Bull, been in crypto a long time. KB, been in crypto a long time. Manjeet, maybe been in crypto a long time. Velvet Rope's been here for a while. Hidden Agendas, Kishen have all been here for a while. And I know you know about Bitcoin and ETFs and stuff like that, and we do cover some of that. But we try and find things every day that you might not have heard about, or you've seen, but you might not have actually read the details of. And that is hopefully how we add value. The quiz, Manjeet, is on Saturday at midday. I'll show you the thumbnail that we've done for it in a minute on the stream. But let's start off with some prices. Bitcoin then, $111,000. Ethereum, almost $2,700. Some of these prices, some of you probably didn't expect. Some of you were expecting the bear market, and I've made a few videos. I've made a few videos in the last few days, and I've made one today. And the poll question of the day is tied into this. The question I have asked you in chat is this, when I bring it up. The poll question today is, are we going to have a summer lull or a summer pump? Everybody has picked pump. And I believe we're going to get a lull. And the video I've made, I've not uploaded it because I haven't done the thumbnail yet. So the video is there, but I haven't actually produced the thumbnail for it. And it's got a catchy thumb title. It's called Summer Lulling. Most of you have no idea what that is. Most of you have never seen Grease or any of those types of films, but it's a song. And if you go back, every summer we have a period of consolidation where we really don't do anything and we kind of crab for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So I've made the video on that today. That's going to go live probably about 12:30 when I finish this. But the question today is, are we going to pump or lull in the summer? And everybody said pump. Now, again, I'm happy to be wrong. If I'm wrong and we go to $400,000, $500,000 for Bitcoin this year, and I've been telling you we're going to 150,000, or even if you follow my very, very, very old prediction, which is 111,400 or 111,600, that's my prediction from 2 years ago. And that's currently where we are now. Now, I've said to you, I need us to break $112,000 or $113,000 for me to feel confident that my prediction is wrong. Because this could be the top. Not saying it is, but it could be. I need to see us, for my own personal well-being, see us break 112, 113,000. But 111,000 is where we're coming in. If we look further down, some of the coins haven't rallied yet, and that's what I think Bullish Bull is talking about. If I look at my portfolio, I am $60,000 short of my all-time high valuation that I reached in 2021. Yet Bitcoin is twice as high, almost, as where we were when that happened. All of my alts, which make up 40, 50, whatever it is percentage of my portfolio, haven't gone yet, haven't run yet, because we've not hit alt season. And I think the euphoria isn't here because the only thing running is Bitcoin and to some extent Ethereum. Now, look at Solana, 186. That's starting to move. Dogecoin, we can forget about. Cardano. What numbers do I talk about with Cardano and XRP and everything else? 80 cents for Cardano. We're at 81. XRP, $2.50. We're at $2.44. We haven't moved from these numbers in weeks. We come down to 220 on XRP and then go to 250. We come down to 60, 70 cents on Cardano and go back to 80 cents. Sui is still hanging around on $4. That correction is because of what's happened, which we're going to cover in a minute. Chainlink, $15, $16, maybe as high as $20. Nothing has run, and you see the communities out there moaning at each other that this, my coin isn't going anywhere, my coin is a pile of crap. Ian, good morning. I hope you are well. The point is, you're not happy because potentially the majority of your portfolio isn't in Bitcoin. Because if it was, if you were 100% Bitcoin, you've outperformed crypto for 2 years. You've outperformed everybody. If you're 100% Bitcoin, you now have doubled your portfolio value from where it was 4 years ago. And if you'd have bought it 2 years ago, you've now 7x'd your money just by holding Bitcoin. So if you're not happy, and I'm not happy either, if you're not happy, it's because your alts haven't run. Ethereum isn't $4,000. XRP isn't $3.50. BNB is BNB, we'll ignore that one. Cardano isn't $1.50, $3. Sui hasn't gone to $5 or $6 like everybody says. Chainlink, I've suggested Chainlink can go as high as $80 to $100. We're a 5x from that. So nothing in the alts has run because Bitcoin dominance hasn't broken down. So this surge of Bitcoin has left everybody still feeling depressed. Now, I can't remember what my Bitcoin portfolio allocation is. I think I'm about 63% Bitcoin. So I should be happy. I'm not happy because it's not where I want us to be. I want the alts to run clearly, and I need Bitcoin to have a breather. I want Bitcoin to stop, have a rest, and let the alts have a run. That would be great about now for, I think, the market. However, some of the coins, some of our picks are starting to move, and that gives me a little bit of hope. ASI, which I was saying a few weeks ago at 40 cents, what's going on with ASI? Why is it 40 cents? It's now almost $1. I'm getting a bit happier. I still think it should be $5. So I am 5x away from where I think it should be. Hyperliquid keeps on running. Jupiter back over 60 cents. That was at 47 cents 3-4 days ago. Jupiter should be a $1, $1.50 coin. $1.50, sorry, maybe $1.20 about now gives it a chance to get to about $5. So we're still halfway towards where I think we should be. And I'm not bullish. I'm not a degen that's going to tell you we're going to the moon. I'm just basing this on the value that project has. Celestia, trash, absolute trash. That's pumping. Some of the exchange coins will pump. Of course they will. Pyth, again, massively undervalued for what it does. It's sub 1 billion. Sorry, not Pyth. Pyth, sub 1 billion. It's a kind of, I wouldn't say a poor man's version of Chainlink, because that does it a massive disjustice. It's Chainlink 4 years ago. So it will become another Chainlink over time. Render is up, Helium is up, and a lot of meme coins are starting to pump. And I'm not expecting to see too many losers today. Walrus, Sui, which we're going to cover. Trump, Pi is trash. SPX, I don't know. I was watching, just before I came on, I was watching another streamer talk about SPX 6900. The reason I've never talked about this coin is because other streamers talk about it. And because other streamers talk about it, I think it's artificially manipulated. And the reason is, have you seen those news articles where Elon Musk or somebody puts up CNN, CNBC, Fox News, and they read the same thing out? And it's like, the president of South Africa today was invited to the White House and it was an ambush. And then you show them saying the same thing. If you watch enough crypto streamers, they say the same thing. It's like, oh yeah, my 4 picks for the next 6 months, Bitcoin, absolutely, Solana, Ethereum, and then Doggil on Mars. And you're like, oh, what's that? I've never heard of that. And they all do the same thing because they're all being paid to talk about the same coins, because that coin has a budget to pay Crypto Banter, Crypto Zaros, I don't even know who else, maybe not, well, there's a lot that don't, but there's loads of them. They all do the same kind of thing. And it's like, well, I'm not going to cover a coin that I think is being overly hyped by every other crypto streamer because I don't believe there's value in it. Pudgy's down, a few others are down. Again, let's not worry too much. I think when we get on to talk about the, what's it called? The Sol price and the dupe stuff in a minute, we'll talk about Solana because I think Solana is going to move with XRP now. I think Solana and XRP are going to move. It's 6 months before potentially the ETFs go live. And now I think the accumulation of XRP and Solana by the institutions are going to happen. Now, this has nothing to do with crypto at all, okay? I'm not even going to make a reason why it's got anything to do with crypto. Monkeys in India, and you won't get this on any other crypto channel, monkeys in India have figured out if they take your mobile phone off you, you have to give them food and then they'll give you your mobile phone back. Okay? There's nothing to do with crypto. I'm not calling you a monkey. I am not saying this has anything to do. There's no analogy in here. It's just a monkey stealing your phone and not giving it back until you give it some fruit. Now, what other crypto channel gives you that level of diversified content? Answer: none of them. You only get phone stealing monkeys on Crypto Warehouse. Bear that in mind next time you go and watch Crypto Banter. Good morning, Charles. I hope you are well. Now then, there's a few bad actors in this industry. I've talked about Charles before. Charles, I don't believe Charles has done anything wrong. But there are a few bad actors, and a lot of them are in prison. Alex Mashinsky got a long time. One we've never really talked about in the last couple of years is SafeMoon. Now, the former CEO, John Caroni, has been convicted on all charges by the jury, including conspiracy to defraud the United States, money laundering, and wire fraud. Now, for those that don't know, SafeMoon ran up, and it ran up, and it ran up. And lots of people, Crypto Lifer, I think Crypto Lifer did a 100x on SafeMoon and probably made his first million out of SafeMoon. Now, what they did, or what I remember them doing, is they showed you reports of tokens being locked. So you could see that they'd locked 60% of the SafeMoon tokens. In fact, they were selling those very tokens on exchanges behind your back. Millions of them, millions of dollars worth. And believe it or not, it was Ben Armstrong that called them out and said that they had problems in the contracts and it was a scam, and he called it, and he called it right. The same way he called FTX. And rightly or wrongly, BitBoy, whatever he's called, he also called FTX. He called SafeMoon, he called FTX. And now he's gone to prison. And that's taken 3 years to get to that point. Right, Giovanni, global head of crypto at CME, says Solana was the most requested product after Bitcoin and Ethereum, speaking on the Sol Futures ETF that launched in the US 2 months ago. And he was talking there at Solana Accelerate. Now, I do believe that Solana is the prince. We have Bitcoin is the king, Ethereum is the queen, Solana is the prince. Solana will never overthrow the king in this instance, but Solana is the prince, I believe, to everything. And you can hate on it as much as you want. You can talk about pump.fun. You can say what you want. It's where the action happens. It's where the volumes happen. It's where the transactions happen. You can say what you want about it. It's like Man United. It's the most hated chain in the world, okay, by everybody that doesn't use it. And those of us that do use it do not see the problem with what people are saying. Now then, Cardano founder has had enough, tells CoinMarketCap, get your dogs under control. Charles was accused of misappropriating 600 million in ADA, which he didn't. Cardano has kicked off an audit to dispute the claims. Hoskinson will be stepping away from running his social media and turning it over to the Cardano team after the audit is complete. And Crypto Zaros, by the way, as quite rightly has been community noted, CoinMarketCap, Cryptos R Us, Cointelegraph, they all covered this. And it was shared and everyone was calling Cardano and this, that, and that. And I basically said, you fall for this every single time. Because people jump to conclusions. That's just the way the world is at the minute. And you have to actually look at the facts. Is Charles's word and is Charles's history in this space deserving of the judgment that he got so quickly? I think he deserves some leniency for those accusations to be proven false. Now, another thing, the person spreading that information has been applying for grants with Ethereum. I'm not saying that both of those things are connected, but spreading FUD about Cardano and applying for a grant at Ethereum just makes me believe it's like every other hit piece that's happened in the last 4 years in crypto. It's another chain or an individual from another chain attacking somebody else on a rival chain. We've seen Cardano people go after Solana. We've seen Ethereum people go after Cardano. We've seen Sam Bankman-Fried go after CZ. It just happens. If anything, it's a compliment. It's a direct threat in their eyes, and they're trying to discredit the chain by going after Charles. And everybody falls for it every time. It would be so easy to sit here and make videos that says Charles is finished, Cardano cataclysm. I'd probably get a couple of thousand views on it. But where is the honesty in doing that? There isn't. But people don't care about honesty. They care about clicks. Clicks are more important than telling the truth these days. And that is a sad state of affairs. BlackRock is urging the US SEC to approve staking and tokenization for Ethereum ETFs. The day this happens, Ethereum, if it's not already there, will be over $3,000 and more likely $3,500. This is from a TradFi point of view, not crypto. From a TradFi point of view, BlackRock will be able to offer this to people for free. Free. You will not pay fees. You will not pay a transaction cost. They will absorb that. And then they will pay you 2.5% in Ethereum. And they will take 0.5%, 0.4%, whatever it might be. They'll take that for themselves to cover the costs. And they'll pay you 2.5%. Now, Bitcoin doesn't offer that because Bitcoin is proof of work. Ethereum is proof of stake. So when you're doing the sell to people, why Ethereum? You say, second biggest asset in the world, diversification from Bitcoin, and we pay you 2.5% in Ethereum every year. It won't cost you anything to buy it, and it won't cost you anything to hold it. It's the easiest sell in the world, okay? And when people say, where's the catch? You simply say, it's a proof of stake chain. You are rewarded for holding the Ethereum. It's the easiest sell in the world. If I was a trader or financial advisor right now, I would be telling people to buy BlackRock Ethereum ETFs before the price goes up. Easiest sell in the world. Ethereum is going to go up. I have not changed my stance on a single coin in 2 years. The only coin that's letting me down is Polygon. And for the life of me, I look at Polygon and I'm like, why, with the ag layer and everything you're doing, is your coin performance so poor? Today, which was yesterday, it was Bitcoin Pizza Day. Now, again, a little bit of a jump into the past. Bitcoin Pizza Day was a day where an individual paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas. 2 pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, I know what you're saying, that's $1.1 billion now, today. It certainly is, but it certainly wasn't back then. It was probably, what, $30, $20, something like that. So we commemorate this by having Bitcoin Pizza Day. There you go. Laszlo saying here. Now, the other really cool thing, which I've not managed to put into the stream because I don't want the stream to be 4 hours long, is there was a chap talking about Bitcoin going to all-time highs at $111. And he recreated that video yesterday when we hit $111,000. And maybe I'll put that into Saturday's stream or Monday's stream to show you. But it's the same guy. And he talks at the same speed and he goes to the same monitor and shows you everything. And it's very sentimental for me because I remember Bitcoin under $1,000. Not much under $1,000. I think I saw Bitcoin at maybe $600 to $800. So I wasn't in as early as he was, but it's still nice to see. Good morning, Tariq. Welcome to the stream. So Bitcoin hits another record high above $111,000 again. These are just guides. We're not going to read all these articles out. You don't need to worry. So we've had a 2% gain. We've hit 2.2 trillion in market capitalization. We've gone from the 6th biggest asset in the world to the 5th. Okay, it's like the meme of death going from door to door. Tesla, silver, Google, Amazon. Now, what have we got above us? We've got gold, we have Nvidia, we have Apple, and then we have Aramco, or the Saudi Arabian oil fund. They're the only 4 things in the world bigger than Bitcoin. And yet, if you ask 100 people in the street, they will tell you it's a scam. And that, my friends, is something you should smile about because you own a $111,000 Bitcoin. You don't currently buy a $1 million Bitcoin, which is what they're going to be doing. You own it at 49,000, at 76,000. You own it at 111,000. Now, I think at some point we're going to see retail come back in, but I think we're going to need to go a lot higher before we see that. So where are we? We are at 111,000, 2.2 trillion. We've broken. The important thing for me was we broke the previous all-time high, which was 109,000. That was a massive milestone. We're now at the price I said Bitcoin was going to go to based on diminishing returns. Now we need to break this, go to 114,000. Now, I said to the Oracle a few days ago, Bitcoin needs to stop being looked at in terms of thousands anymore. And what I mean by that is, we went to 110,000 one of the days, and then we came back down to 108,500. Now, a $1,500 drop is a dump if we go back to the previous prices of Bitcoin. But a $1,500 drop is a 1% drop. So these dips that we have, we need to stop thinking that a $1,000 drop is that much money anymore. We need to start thinking in terms of 5s and 10s. The same with the psychological numbers that we talked about. We always talk about $80,000, $90,000, $100,000. I think psychologically, we need to stop looking at 105, 110, 115, 120. We need to start thinking at 110, 125, 150, maybe 175 and 200. We need to stop thinking small because the price doesn't reflect that anymore. If Bitcoin today went from 111,000 to 109,000, it would be a tiny drop percentage-wise, but it's a $2,000 drop. And I think it's going to take us some time to get used to this because in the not too distant future, Bitcoin could go from $250,000 to $230,000 in a day. That's not even a 10% drop, but that's a $20,000 drop. So we need to switch from talking about thousands to talking about tens of thousands, and we need to be starting to look at the percentages. Because if you keep looking at the numbers and the numbers get bigger and the bigger pumps and the bigger drops, they're gonna mess with your head. You know, Ethereum is only $2,700. A $100 move for Ethereum is a lot. A $1,000 move now for Bitcoin isn't a lot of money. So psychologically, you're going to have to get your head around these things. because the bigger the number, the more you have to think in percentages. And also, and I've been saying this for about 4 years, we need to start talking in sats and not in Bitcoin. Think about it. 3 or 4 years ago, how much does that car cost? That car would cost 4 Bitcoin. How much does that car cost today? Half a Bitcoin. At what point do we start saying that car costs 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.03 Bitcoin? We're going to have to start changing our vocabulary to talk in sats. And I said, probably 3 years ago, we've cracked it when things start to get valued in sats. Now, if you go to El Salvador, I think it is, you can buy coffees and you can buy cakes and things, and it's valued in sats. That's where we need to get to, and stop talking about Bitcoin as if it's the monetary currency. It's not. It's the sats which are monetary currency. That's what we need to think about. So how much is this coffee? It's 1,000 sats. How much is that cake? 1,000 sats. So it's 2,000 sats for the cake and the coffee. And the irony is, 4 years later, the chances are that the cake and the coffee cost you 500 sats because of the price of Bitcoin. Castor, yeah, well, I like Castor, but we don't cover it on here. There's too many things. Now then, we're going to move on a little bit. We're going to talk about this. Now, there's 2 things on this. And this show is likely to not get to the end of the articles. I'll be honest, because it's already, 11:30? And we're on the second article. But some things are more important to explain. Now, this is quite odd. Okay. Sui yesterday had an exploit on the Cetus protocol, which is a DEX, which is a decentralized exchange. And the vulnerability allowed for $260,000 to be stolen, I believe. Sorry, $260 million to be stolen. If we look on here to get you the amount. Maybe I should just go through the article because the article will have it all in. I'd found that tweet before I found this article, so let's just go through the article. And then I want to explain something about decentralization, because I think it's important that you understand it's not what you think it is, if that makes sense. Sui validators freeze the majority of the $220 million Cetus hack. The team is working with other stakeholders in the Sui ecosystem to freeze and recover all the stolen funds from the recent hack. Cetus is a decentralized crypto exchange built on the Sui blockchain, and 162 million of the 220 million stolen has already been frozen. According to the team, it's working with the Sui Foundation to recover the majority of the funds. Now, that's going to be very difficult because last time I checked, about $60 million had been moved into Ethereum. Once it's in Ethereum and once it's gone through, is it called Turbo Cash or something like that, whatever it's called, then it'll be gone. And we don't know who's done it. It's more than likely going to be somebody like North Korea that's done this. And then the funds will be gone. So according to the team, a large number of validators identified the addresses with the stolen funds are ignoring transactions on those addresses until further notice. The Cetus team is exploring paths to recover those funds and return them to the community. The Cetus hack is the latest in a string of such incidents impacting crypto and Web3. Now then, something that I think people need to understand is decentralization does not mean full autonomy of the chain. It does not mean that the chain cannot be stopped, paused, rolled back, hard forked. It doesn't mean any of that. And the issue is that a lot of people that come to crypto, they think decentralization means how Bitcoin works, which is that these miners secure the network and they're based all around the world. Nothing can stop Bitcoin, nothing can shut it down because Bitcoin is in multiple different places. Every single blockchain that exists can be changed based on the voting of the validators. Kronos Chain, there was a vote to increase the supply of Crow from 30 to 100 billion. The validators voted in favour, and 70 billion more Kronos tokens were created. Solana has had vulnerabilities, and the validators agreed to pause the blockchain, sometimes for 6 hours. Validators run the blockchain, and the validators are decentralized. The validators can be in Portugal, they can be in London, they can be in Russia or China, it can be anywhere in the world, okay? Because they are decentralized. But that doesn't mean that the blockchain cannot be frozen, stopped. The funds can't be frozen or stopped. And I think there's such a misconception of what this terminology means. They just assume everything's like Bitcoin. There's no head. There's nobody in charge of Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a foundation. Bitcoin has a team of developers. Bitcoin has voting. If they decided to, they could create proof of stake. They could turn Bitcoin into proof of stake. It would take an almighty effort, but it's possible. Ethereum Foundation, Cardano Foundation, Solana Foundation, Sui Foundation. They are centralized bodies that work with validators to improve the performance of the blockchain, add functionality to the blockchain. The governance of that comes down to who's got the most tokens, because it's proof of stake. If BlackRock owned 55% of all the Ethereum in the world, they would be able to vote out every possible decision, and they would win every single vote. And that's what Vitalik is trying to fix, by the way. So don't let anybody tell you that being decentralized doesn't mean there's some kind of central control. Now, the validators could turn around and say, we're not doing this. We're not going to help you. We're going to keep the chain going. And we're not going to block the transactions. That's the validator's decision. But if there's a consensus of enough validators with enough votes, it passes. The Kronos chain vote, 75% of the validators voted against the 70 billion tokens being added. But the 30% that voted for the tokens to be created were the largest holders of CRO. They win. That's why proof of stake is different to proof of work. Proof of stake is proof of wealth. If you own enough tokens, you get your decision, okay? So this happened to Sui, and it can happen to Solana. It can happen to any chain. So don't think for 1 second that decentralization means there is nobody in charge and it just sits there and it's uncensorable and governments can't go after people, because of course they can. Of course they can. And decentralization matters until it doesn't. And you're told that decentralization means that it's distributed and you all have the voting power and it's a democracy. If it was a democracy, it would be one person, one vote, but it's not. It's one coin, one vote. And if you own more coins, you have more votes and you will win. And that's why it should be called proof of wealth. The SEC has delayed in-kind redemptions for Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Now, this is the second part of what we talked about a minute ago with Ethereum ETFs and why this matters. And it's actually fairly good for the Bitcoin price and the Ethereum price. Now, long story short, the reason that in-kind redemptions are not really allowed in America is there's no tax event. So let me give you an example. Let's say KB has $100,000 in a BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And KB says, listen, Mr. BlackRock, I'd like my $100,000 back, please. And Mr. BlackRock says, well, KB, that's now worth $200,000. So what we'll do is we'll sell the $200,000 worth of Bitcoin and we'll send you the cash. Now, KB owes probably about 40% of the profit. So KB owes $40,000 to the taxman, which is the government of wherever KB lives, UK, America, right? Now, in-kind redemptions, KB goes to BlackRock and says, right, Mr. BlackRock, I want my $100,000 worth of Bitcoin sending to this wallet address. And BlackRock says, absolutely, Mr. KB, no problem. Your funds are on the way. And then KB gets sent 2 Bitcoin because it's about 100,000. Anyway, so KB gets sent his Bitcoin. His 2 Bitcoin gets sent to KB. And guess what? There is no tax event because it's an in-kind redemption. So KB doesn't owe any money to the taxman. Now, under Gary Gensler, they were against it. And I was saying at the time, it's not tax avoidance, by the way, because if you own shares in a company, you can transfer those shares from company A to company B. So if you own shares, sorry, not company A to B, trading house A to B. So let's say you've got your shares with Revolut and you say, right, I want you to send my shares to Robinhood. That's possible. There's a fee, but it's possible. And then there's no there's no tax event because your 100 shares in Tesla are still your 100 shares in Tesla in Robinhood. Your Bitcoin here isn't being sold, so there's no tax event. But they're talking about changing the tax law in America, so certain cryptocurrencies in America you don't pay tax on anyway. Now, if that's the case, in-kind redemptions can be allowed, and that's why I think they've been delayed a little bit to allow it to happen. But all in all, if you sell your crypto for cash and you make a profit, there is a taxable event. But the taxable event is on the profit you've made, not the total amount. So if you make $1,000 in profit, you probably owe anywhere between 10 and 40% on that profit. If Trump's administration gets their own way and makes crypto exempt from capital gains or whatever they call it in America, then they'll allow this to happen. Simple. Right then, Solana. Price, fractal, targets, $260. One thing must happen first. There's always one thing that's got to happen first, doesn't it? Sol needs to push through a tough overhead resistance level. After briefly dropping to 160 from 184, Sol is attempting to reclaim a position. Do you remember those times when we were telling you that buying Solana at $100 to $110 would be a good idea? I remember those times very well. Had you bought at, let's say, $100, your $100 would now be $184 because I think we're at 184. So you would have bought a really good dip on Solana. Just putting that out there. So it's trying to reclaim its position. 180, we're above 180. I think the next target, absolutely, totally agree with this. The next target is 200. In certain cryptocurrencies, there are psychological barriers. $100,000 for Bitcoin, $3,000 and $4,000 for Ethereum, $200, absolutely. And $100, by the way, when we talked back then about it, they're psychological. They're not necessarily tied directly into the price action. $100 and $200 have always been very, very strong resistances for Solana. But you break $200 and then you've got clean air. You've got clean, fresh air above you. So what I mean by that is you could see us going to 195, 197, 198, 192, and then just stick there for a while. And then suddenly we might break the psychological $200 mark and then we're at $215. And you're sitting there thinking, well, how did we struggle so much at 198 and 197 when we've now gone straight to 214? And that's where the orders are. There are sell orders at 198 and 197. And there are probably going to be more sell orders at 215 or 225 or 220 in this case here. That's where people put their sell orders. And to break that, you've got to get through those orders, the order books. And same on the way down. If there's no buy orders between $200 and $150, the price goes to $150. So Solana, I think, is going to be over $200 soon. I said it at the start. Solana and XRP, based on what happened with Bitcoin and Ethereum, have probably got 5 or 6 months left before the ETF goes live. If it goes live sooner, so it goes live in 4 months' time, Solana is going to pop. $250, $300, absolutely. once we know the ETF is going live. XRP, exactly the same. It's going to be at $3 immediately once we know the ETF is going to go live. There is institutional demand for both of those tokens, irrespective of Circle being sold to Ripple. Irrespective of that, XRP has institutional demand for that ETF. So does Solana. I very, very much doubt that some of the other ETFs are going to get that institutional demand. I just don't see a reason for a lot of big buyers of the likes of Hedera or Algorand. Litecoin is possibly an exception because it's more like Bitcoin than it is like anything else. But certainly we're going to see $200 soon. Definitely. And again, $250. I'm not even going to challenge. This is actually quite good price action. Now, where I'll probably draw the line is where people think we're going to go at the end of this bull run. And I think with all wings flapping, i.e. we've got the ETF, we've got the movement going, I think we could easily go somewhere north of $600 with institutional demand, with an ETF, with lower interest rates. I would be very disappointed in Solana if we don't break $500. Very, very disappointed in Solana if we don't get to $500. Now, we are still a ways away from that, but so is everything else. Ethereum is, what, 80% from its all-time high? Ethereum's miles away from its all-time high. Cardano's away from its all-time high. The alts haven't run. But I think we need to be at certain prices to then have a run at it. And I think being over $200 for Solana would give us a run at $500. I think being near $2.50, $2.80, $3 for XRP gives us a great chance of going to $5 to $7. But other coins need to move. Some of these coins, the Polygons of this world, they've got to move because a lot of the alts aren't going to go to all-time highs. Crow, which I talk about a lot, it's not going to go to $1, no matter how much people sing its praises or how much you watch these people talk about how Crow is going to go to $1. I would be happy with 60 to 70 cents from where we are now. We're at 10 cents. That's a 6x to get to 60 or 70 cents. And there's previous price action at 60 and 70 cents. I think that would be amazing. We're certainly not going to go over $1. But getting back towards all-time highs, on the way to all-time highs, is still going to be a great bull run. Liquidity begets liquidity. Solana DEX aggregator Jupiter unveils a new lending protocol. Now, there's tons of news about Jupiter, and maybe this is one of the reasons it's pumped today. We've had the vote for Humas, whatever they're called, the token. There's going to be a sale for Jupe stakers where they're going to be able to get the token at 50% discount. That's passed, so we're going to get to buy those tokens. I don't know what's going to happen to the token price of this new token, by the way. It's likely to probably tank because I would certainly sell it. If I know I'm going to put in $100 and then the following day I can sell it for $200, I'm going to sell it for $200. I don't care what the project does. I can't hold everything. So Jupiter has got that news going on. Then we've got institutional lending. We've got tokenized assets coming to Camino, coming to Jupiter. So rather than looking at maybe the centralized exchanges, and then he said names then, Binance, for example, we could look at Jupiter and say, I want to hold Tesla stock. I'll buy it through Jupiter. I want to buy Amazon stock. Buy it through Jupiter. Jupiter's now also offering other services. So as I was saying to you weeks ago, banks will become exchanges. Exchanges will become banks. This is what Jupiter wants to do. It wants to be all things to all men and women. Now, they are going to unveil a lending protocol. Oh, they unveiled, a lending protocol on the Solana Accelerate conference on Thursday. The new feature will be powered through a partnership with liquidity layer Fluid. Jupiter, which is also up, unveiled a new lending protocol on stage. The new feature will be powered through a partnership with Fluid, which started out as an Ethereum liquidity layer. Fluid is a proven leader in DeFi, said Cash. Cash has come a long way. Jupiter launched in 2021 by Meow or Meow. It's the cornerstone. It handles 95% of the DEX aggregator volume. That's not 95% of volume. It's 95% of the aggregator volume. Nice play on words there, but there are others coming. Titan is a new aggregator coming to Solana. In January, the project distributed 700 million Jupe tokens to users, stakers. They've already dropped $1 billion in 2023. It's up. You can go from swaps and perpetuals to borrowing and lending. Liquidity begets liquidity. Jupiter Lend will be the most advanced money market at a technical level. It will offer loan-to-value ratios used to assess risk in lending of 90% compared to 70% elsewhere. Now, again, there's going to be horror stories of people getting liquidated. There's going to be horror stories associated with anything to do with lending, borrowing. There's always going to be liquidity events. People's websites go down, all that kind of stuff. This is what comes with this kind of stuff. What I would say is that at the end of this bull run, if it is a normal bull run, and I sell my Jupe tokens, and I sell my Chainlink tokens, and I sell everything else I've got, I will be buying back into Jupiter. I won't be buying back into every coin that I hold, but I will certainly be buying my Jupe back. Absolutely. Okay? It's a unicorn. It's a massive money-making business. And you never, ever turn down money-making businesses because it makes so much money that the overhead it has is very, very low. And the only downside to Jupiter is if a rival comes along to challenge and take a market share. And that would take maybe 1 or 2 years to do that. We've seen that happen with Uniswap. Uniswap's lost out, but it hasn't really. It's just that the Solana volume has gone so high that the market share of Ray and Orca has surpassed that of Uniswap. So it's not like it's really eaten into Uniswap's market. It's just that it's grown so much. The pie is so much bigger. Now, Jupiter and Solana may end up with 2 or 3 aggregators on Solana, one of which being Jupiter, one being Titan, and then maybe another one. Maybe Camino becomes an aggregator. But it doesn't matter. If the pie is 5 times bigger and Jupiter still owns half of that pie, it's still going to be 3 times bigger than it is today. So it's going to get competition. Nobody is going to look at Solana and go, Jupiter is the only DEX aggregator. We're not going to go near it. It's too big. You're going to go head to head with Jupiter and you're going to have to beat them based on skill. You're going to have to beat them based on offering something that they don't offer. And this is the problem because they've got a mobile app. They've got the LFG. They've got lending. They've got real world assets coming to Jupiter. In a year's time, they're going to be very difficult to catch. The only downside would be if Solana goes through a slump and then Jupiter goes with them because they're very much tied to Solana. That's the 2 threats really are a competitor or Solana having problems. But other than that, it's just a great way to make money. A DEX aggregator is a great way to make money. Anyway, let's move on very quickly. I saw a few names. Good morning, Solo Sky, if I've not already said good morning to you. 54 people in chat, apparently, and only, according to my stats, 5 likes. Hit the like button. Nobody knows about us if you don't hit the like button because, as I've said time and time again, YouTube monitors like the activity, the likes, the comments in chat. If nobody likes and nobody comments, we get probably not pushed up the algorithm. Maybe Wednesday was a fluke on the algorithm, who knows. Now then, Binance has added support for the World Liberty Financial stablecoin. Now, again, some people called it World Liberty Finance. Other people called it World Liberty Financial. I don't know which is which. We'll just call it WLF. The world's largest crypto exchange by volume is adding support for an asset linked with Trump. In a new announcement, Binance said it will add support for the stablecoin World Liberty Financial USD, USD1, not to be confused with ONE USD, which is a different stablecoin. I believe that's going to be on Chronos. And again, this is where it's going to get really, really confusing, because you're going to get GUFD, FUSD, USD1, ONE USD. When are too many stablecoins? Too many stablecoins. How many stablecoins do we need? Do we need 10? Do we need 1,000? Do we need 1,000,000 stablecoins? When do we get to the point where we don't need stablecoins for everybody? And that is an issue for me. And I am sure there is going to be a stablecoin of stablecoins. I tell you now, and somebody needs to make a note of this. KB, remind me. Somebody's going to make a stablecoin that holds 10 or 20% of each yield-bearing stablecoin. So it will hold Syrup USD. It will hold the Athena USD. It will hold the Ondo USD. All of them are yield-bearing stablecoins, and somebody's going to make a stablecoin of a stablecoin. I tell you now, as I am sitting here, that is a fact. And you're going to come along and it's going to pay you 4%. And then it's going to shave the difference off the top of all the other stable coins. Absolutely guaranteed going to happen at some point. Binance is excited to announce that World Liberty Financial USD will be added to Binance Simple Earn. USD1, which was designed to keep a one-to-one peg to the US dollar, launched in March and recently formed a partnership with Chainlink, allowing it to be transferred over numerous blockchains. Bullish on Chainlink. Don't know what's happened to the price. So, this partnership with Chainlink will accelerate and improve USD1's utility for cross-border payments and will result in truly useful applications across DeFi and traditional finance. We're creating a comprehensive platform for a dramatically improved financial future by building atop a rock-solid foundation. USD1 has a market cap of 2.1 billion, while Link has a value. Doesn't even give the market cap. That's great. That's great reporting that. So it gives you the market cap of one, and then the token value of Link and the other. Brilliant. What's the market cap of Chainlink? About 8 billion, something like that. Anyway, where are we up to? Right, 11:57. That's my $1 million idea right there. I'm too old and tired to have ideas anymore. Tariq, you can have that one. Right now, Manjeet asked a question in chat before, and I am going to go and show it you. Yesterday on Binance and YouTube, I re-added the stream for Saturday. Now, when our YouTube channel loads, I will show you. If I go to live, for example, scroll down here when it loads. Okay. Now you'll see how clever I am. I have taken the number 21 and I've put a line through it and made it look like it's fallen off the screen and written the number 23, because that's the kind of creativity you get with Crypto Warehouse. Okay. So this is 12 o'clock on Saturday. Now, I know some of you like your beauty sleep, like Tariq. You like to have a lie in. You've got your little bits of cucumber over your eyes, okay? You know, get your beauty sleep. I mean, if there's anybody in this stream today, it's me that needs beauty sleep. And I need to sleep for about 4 years to catch up. But Saturday, we're going to go and stream again. Now, as I said at the very start, the power cut that happened on Wednesday was a scheduled power cut that they told us about at 1 minute past 7. So they scheduled a power cut for 7 o'clock in the street where our office is, and they told us about the scheduled power cut at 1 minute past 7 when we'd already got the countdown to go live, and we then had to pack the office up in pitch darkness. Pitch black. It was pitch black. Saturday, I'm hoping that we manage to get through it, and we should do. Now, that isn't the first time we've had a power cut in the office, by the way. I think it's probably about the second or the third time in the last 4 months, 5 months, I think. This year, certainly, we've had about 3. So that is on Saturday. Now, next Wednesday, we have our next Mew night on Binance. 7 p.m. next Wednesday, we will be giving you the opportunity to win Mew. Now, both of these nights will have a quiz. The quiz is already written for the Chronos night. I haven't even looked at Mew yet. But what we tend to do with Mew, and here is a little bit of an insider tip for you guys. What about India time? What time is IST in India? I have no idea. Does anybody know what time 12 p.m. is in India? Is it 5 p.m. your time? 4 p.m. your time? Something like that. I think when we stream at 7, Tariq says it's about 11. Something like that. So maybe 4 or 5 hours ahead, I think. But sorry, go back to the... So Mew will be a... probably pretty much the same list of questions that we asked on the last stream. Maybe there'll be a few different questions. Let me just close this down. Get rid of that. There we go. Back on full screen. You can see me now. So that's Saturday and that's Wednesday. And we will hopefully be making an announcement about our new partner next week. And we've got a couple of them that have come to us. One of them we turned down, which was a blockchain. One of them was a stable coin, which we still haven't agreed to work with. And as I've said to you at the very start of this week, we don't just go with every single ambassador program that approaches us. We don't. We are really picky. And unfortunately, that means that it takes an awful lot of time. And as you know, we've got 3 main sponsors. We've got WolfSwap, we've got Mew, and we've got Maple Finance. That's been built up since last August. So that's taken us 9 months to add 3. And the likelihood is that by the end of this year, we will have 5, because that's how picky we are. If we pick a project that you go and buy those tokens of, not financial advice, and that token rug pulls, whose reputation gets damaged and whose pocket gets hurt? Your pocket gets hurt and our reputation gets smashed, okay? And I don't want that, because our reputation is our word. So we're working very hard in the background. Are you only 1 hour, a 1 hour difference in Kuwait? Wow. Yeah, so we're working hard. We give away what we can. Like I said to you the other day, what we're giving away on the Chronos night is only going to be about $25 worth of NFTs. But that's simply because there's a time sink in chasing people to be on the sponsored stream, and we just don't have the time to do it. So we give away from my pocket and the Oracle's pocket these NFTs. Nobody pays to be on that stream on Wednesday night. We do it for the good of the chain. Mew is different. Mew pay us to give away some tokens every month. So that's why we give away a little bit more. Normally about $40 to $50 we give away. But the $20, $25 worth of NFTs we give away on Chronos, that's always pretty much out of our pocket. We do get some donations. Monkey Muscle have donated, occasionally Peak have donated, but on the whole, it comes out of our pocket. Anyway, it's 12:04. I'm going to go and finish my thumbnail for this video that I've made, which is called Summer Lulling. Anyway, you all have a great weekend. And if you've got nothing to do on Saturday at midday, or 11 o'clock in the UK, or 1 p.m. in Kuwait, if you've got nothing to do tomorrow, we're going to do our Chronos night at midday tomorrow. So come and join us. I am going to upload this video, and then I'm going to go out shopping to buy black pudding. If you've never had black pudding, please do me a favour and don't go and look up what black pudding is, because I believe you will think less of us. But we are northerners. We're from the north of England, and this is what we eat. Okay? So have a great weekend if I don't see you on Saturday. I hope you enjoyed the stream. Tell everybody about Crypto Warehouse. Get all your friends to sign up to us. And I will see you on Saturday. And Tariq will be there. So if Tariq is the only person that turns up on Saturday, Tariq will get all the NFTs. There's your challenge. See you soon.